Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Allah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
Allah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allah.
La ilaha illallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Arsalahu bil huda wa din al-haq liyudhhiruhu ala ad-din kullihi walau karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayru sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa ahsanu al-qasasi hadha al-Quran wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhdathatuha wa ahsanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَاتَّصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And hold on all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourself. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You're the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd. يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Dear believers, we're going to go through a few subjects, but we have to keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran that we will aid and assist you from avenues that you least expect or you don't expect. Some translation says that Allah will help you from ways that you don't expect. That means if we go out in the cause of Allah, Allah is with us. And Allah will help us from so many ways that we least expect. Now that don't mean that we should not have some design or some plan or something that we would like to accomplish in the cause of Allah or in the way of Allah or for the sake of Allah. So when you have those concepts in mind, Allah gonna look out for you in ways that you basically you don't have no concept of, you don't have no way of knowing. But you will have faith and confidence in what you're doing. Because when you read the Quran, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. The first thing you got to make sure, though, is that you are real about, because see, Allah know whether you're real or not. I mean, it's simple as that. So when you make these internal pledges or du'as, and then you have to remember, the hadith says there's no petition between the da'i and Allah. There's nothing separating. In other words, they're coming out and asking Allah for aid and assistance, puts them in proximity to Allah, although we don't want to use that word, you're close to Allah, far away. If you want to use the term proximity to Allah, that means obeying Allah, responding to Allah's call, that's different. But we don't want to, like I'm near to you and you're far away from me. We don't want to use that terminology because we can't place Allah or size Allah or we position Allah. Some of the Negroes take the Ayatul Kursi, that Allah is on the throne, and they mean that he's sitting on the throne and his throne is over the waters. I think we done went through that before, so we can skip that today. In some cases, this is a long struggle. And since this struggle has longevity, and you realize it from the beginning, you have to have, or you should have, some plan, some method, something that you plan to do to keep you struggling in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if that's truly what you want to do. I'm just looking for a few nice little pictorial representations. Here they are. Okay. So, if you're not careful about your faith and everything, you would take this picture. This says Masjid al-Islam up here. And the other picture has a guy called Mukhtar. He's a troublemaker, but he's not a troublemaker. He's aiding, assisting us in our mission because we're relating to Allah. And I'll get to that later, that everything that happens to you and for you is actually aid and assistance. A lot of people don't know that. Okay. This old As-Sabiqun tactics deployed by the movement. We don't have time to go into that today. Actually, believe it or not, we're going to try to finish relatively early. Now, here's a nice picture. This is a picture of when I was really busted upside the head and assaulted. Very good in Oakland. At the Masjid that has a... And some people came and they wanted to help and they wanted to attack the people that had done this. And some of you probably saw the video. I was very strident about them not doing it, not responding. Why? Because of the concept of divide, conquer, and rule. Now, those people that did this were already police. They didn't sign up because when they signed up, they thought, okay, well, the people that signed up then, they looked at Abdul Malik, who was running things in Oakland at that time, and they looked at him and they said, this guy is weak because he buckled as soon as Imam Musa put a little pressure and started putting out a few little lectures starting in September 2005 and stuff like that, you know, saying that Oakland was the, what did I call it? Clearinghouse. That's what I call it. Oakland was a clearinghouse. What did I mean by Oakland was a clearinghouse? Oakland was a clearinghouse because they ran everything through Oakland. The head snitch was in Oakland for our movement. And they ran everything through him because they didn't want to get things confused. Like, for instance, if they got too many tattletales, stooges, and snitches in a movement, they have to have one coordinator, because if they don't, the snitches will be bumping into each other and they'll be doing things that they think is right for the government. And it'll be individualized. So every snitch will have a policy of his own, right? And this will be confusing because everybody sees things different. Well, if I do this, this is going to help boss man really, this will mess everything up. Then the other brother got another thing. Well, if I do this, this will slow down, da 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 da. So they have to have a clearinghouse. Oakland was a clearinghouse. At that time, D.C. was not the clearinghouse. Oakland was. So Mukhtar, who took over after Abdul Malik, after he begged for the position, what he did was, at that time, he was a low-level snitch. Well, let's call third in command of the snitches. But Abdul Malik was number one. He didn't like Abdul Malik's policy. What he thought was, when I flipped on him and turned on him real quick, Abdul Malik, he felt buckled and he should have held and held his ground and kept his snitch jacket on and pushed back. So this is the way the dumb snitch, the super dumb snitch, Mukhtar felt. He felt that way. You could see it on him. So he's the one that I made left in charge of things in Oakland. But he had a serious hatred and he had a inferiority complex over the intelligentsia. The intelligentsias in Oakland were all college graduates and da-da-da-da. Abdul Malik was one of them. So Abdul Malik handled things like a college graduate snitch. Mukhtar was a dummy. I mean, he went to the same college they did, but he flunked out. He couldn't, he was just a dummy. Mukhtar had an old flat-footed, like one of our neighbors. They had a flat-footed, old, dumb police. Well, muscle them through that. That was his attitude. Now, remember now, I can see all of this all the time. And I'm acting on all of this. So anyway, we got a big struggle that we're dealing with. So we got to design a plan that's going to deal with the whole United States government. You can remember stories like, anybody remember the story of Hansel and Gretel? You don't remember? Well, I don't blame you. It was a long time ago. But they left little crumbs along the way so they could find their way back to where they was from, you know. Now, if you remember the Uncle Remus tales, Uncle Remus had a guy in there called Tar Baby. Tar Baby was a little doll that was soaked in tar, that was dressed up real good. And so old Bruh Fox, they wanted to snare him. So what they did, they soaked the Tar Baby in tar, and they set him there looking like a doll. And they wanted Bruh Fox to come by and grab him and get stuck by the tar. Then he grabbed him with the other hand, like that rat paper that you put out in the house, you know, right? The rat get stuck right here, then he put his other paw to try to get it loose. Now he finished. And that's one of the best things. Now, let's get back to Tar Baby, Brother Bear, and those people. Now, the only person that understood this clearly was Imam Jamil, without any explanation at all, hardly. Because I told him last time I saw him in the Rice County, down on Rice Street in the county jail in Atlanta when he was going away on this beef. And he could see how I operated. I said, "Oh, I got a plan that I'm working on." He said, "Yeah, I understand, Brother Bear." That's what he said. We was from the same generation, and we heard the same old stories. Who's Brother Bear? You take Brother Bear, and Brother Rabbit. Now, and I know this very well from running in the hills in Oakland. They got briar patches, which y'all would call berry patches. And they all got little holes and what have you, where the rabbits run through them all the time. And if a dog come, they all go through their little holes, and the dog will get snared and caught by all these berry bushes. Pretty soon he got to come out. So the briar patch is a place of refuge and safety for the rabbit, right? So when I was talking to Imam Jamil, he said, "Yeah, Brother Bear and Brother Rabbit." That's what he said according to what I was trying to tell him, and I didn't have to tell him no more. He understood what I was doing. I was trying to explain to him if there's pauses in communication, if there's anything that's not clarified, I'm already working on some things. And he just laid it right to me, and we didn't even mention it. No more. Didn't have to. We're from the same generation. We heard the same stuff. And the other thing is, he's from Louisiana, and I'm from Arkansas. One is right above the other. That means culturally, we're next door neighbors. We're next door neighbors. And not like North Carolina and South Carolina. That's over this way. That's black culture of those days, but that deep Southern culture has some elements that only somebody from that same, so we're next door neighbors. So when he mentioned that, then I knew he knew where I was coming from. Because I did a lot of things out in the open and talk real da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And so he realized what I've told all of y'all about when I use the term boss man on the line, or white man on the line. That means that it's like going fishing, right? And when you get the fish hooked, you know he's hooked, right? If you got that little bob, little white and red bob to the line, and it's just going up and down a little bit, you know the fish is nibbling, right? He's nibbling. So you leave it alone. But if you give a big dip like that, that means you didn't hook him. Or if you measure just right, you can try to visualize the fish down there eating off the bait. And which way is he positioned? So if you think he's got it deep enough in his mouth, you can, well, I know y'all go fishing a lot, so you know you can put it real quick, and that hook is made so it'll snag it. Right? So you got to put stuff on the line. You got to bait the line. And so that's what we've been doing. Especially all along, but especially since 1986. Because we come up in the movement, and it came to us a long time ago. There's a group of people that you see on the news right now that they call the freedom movement. They got the same name, if you remember the lieutenant on Star Trek, the black woman. Their name is the same as theirs. Oh, I'll put this up. I'm sure y'all can hear me. But it's good to pay attention today because we're getting ready to make a few moves because we've made an estimation. Can y'all hear me now? Y'all can hear me pretty good? Oh, y'all can hear me. Bismillah. Y'all can hear me now? All right. I was good all the time, probably. All right. So we come up in the movement. And I had a friend, he passed away, and this so-called freedom movement was right there in Oakland. Now, didn't nobody hardly trust this movement because they came there right after the Black Panthers was crushed, and they had perfect rhetoric, perfect everything. And if you go to Oakland, you'll find they still got a big place there. Ain't nobody going in and out of it hardly. Something that people know internally that something is wrong with them. Right? And now you turn on the news and you see those people on the front page of every newspaper with the same thing they ought to be saying about us because the FBI broke into they did this, they did that, but they saying it about them and they're not saying it about us. We have to take this nibbling and bait thing a little further. A few years ago, well, it's a few years ago to me, it's not a few years ago to you, we had a program downtown at the press building. And I think it was 21 years ago. It might have been late October 2001. We got videos, so I'll bring some of the videos. And that was when I gave a talk, and the whole black movement, all the black Negroes that you see running around turning flips, they was there. Didn't nobody remember them hardly. Because during the question and answer period, everybody was referring to me. And when I went over to a program in Virginia, Muhammad Al-Asi was there, and he said he was talking to some brothers, Arab brothers from Cleveland, from Ohio, I put it that way. He said they all watched our program and their wives told them they should be doing the same thing that we're doing. That's what they said. So everybody saw the program. If they didn't see it, soon as they looked up, they called everybody. Everybody saw that program. At this program, it was a distinct difference in clarification of who people are and who they're not. So, between that program and not much later, the program with Sean Hannity, right? The Zionists put those packages together and you ain't heard nothing from me since, right? Because when they matched up what we were saying with the black Negroes, the Black Ruru Party, or the new Black Ruru Party, I don't mean to break your heart, but most of the Negroes is snitches and tattletales. The government wouldn't have it no other way. I don't care whether you like them or not. I'm sorry. I just have to tell you what I know. And I've been here all the time, and I've been playing with it the way I know how to play with it. And I have not discovered, but I knew from back in those days. See, it ain't hardly nobody alive talking the way we talking now with the experience. The old Black Panther experience. The old movement experience. I don't care who you're talking about. All these new Negroes or new lawyers running around, and all of those coons talking that black power, all power to the people, free the land, those Negroes are new. And the reason nobody is accepting them is because internally they know something is wrong with them. I'm talking about, I don't care how much attention you give them on the TV. Ain't nobody following them because everybody knows something is wrong with them, right? And they got the same name as the lady, the lieutenant lady on Star Trek. Lieutenant, which means freedom and liberation. And the reason I turned on them years ago, I never said I'd turn on you niggas, but one of my best friends, if you look at the old posters of the Soledad brothers, you'll see John Crucetti, you'll see George Jackson, and you'll see Fleta Drungo, the brother with all the burns. He and I grew up together. We were best friends. He was my workout partner in another penitentiary just like Soledad. And I went home in 65, and he got transferred to that penitentiary. These Negroes, they're not even armchair revolutionaries. These is police niggas of the worst blend. And that's the way everybody treats them. They got the most beautiful calligraphy and writings and the chairman and all of that, pretending to be black. They came to Oakland when the Black Panther Party was crushed. They brought them there with the same rhetoric and the same everything and all polished up looking brand new, and nobody paid no attention to them up until today. Nobody paid no attention to them. And they saying all the right black things, and they doing all the black right things. But people got something in them that they feel, if you're talking about a lawyer, new blue-black party, or anything about it like that. And you'll see them run straight, you'll see them running straight with just the right rhetoric. Why nobody follow them? In their heart, they know something's wrong with them coons. The party I'm talking about, last time I saw Fleta Drungo, he was coming out of a hotel. This must have been 78. He had a bottle of Ripple in it, Now, Fleta Drungo, we grew up as little kids together. and in the penitentiary. Fred C. Nellis School for Boys, Duell Vocational Institution, and he goes to Soledad. He becomes one of the Soledad brothers with George Jackson and them. All of us grew up, we were all state raised. Now I want to tell you so you get an understanding, you get a feeling of how things are going. Things are going that way whether you like it or not, whether you care or not, whether you believe it or not. And I'll say this before I continue. Boss man is finished. Boss man bites the dust. That means boss man and everybody that's with him. Let me skip just for a minute to go back and so you get a clear picture. Right now, today, the United States government started trouble with Russia, right? And then Russia finally attacked Ukraine. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it's all right. They did it. If you look all over Africa, you'll find that everybody is on Russia's side. You don't hear they get a few coons sticking up and saying this, that, and other. But everybody is on Russia's side. You get China on her roll, right? China, next thing you look at TV, the old lady from our district out in California, Miss Pelosi, her husband got a drunk driving or dumb, just gave him a ticket for being dumb, something like that. She runs over to China to make China mad. China responds different than we would. We would have clowned America. We would have said, oh, we've been trying to be friends with America and all our progress. I know America's not jealous of us because we're making all this progress. I know because America is too big in character to be mad at us for outshining them. This is what everybody tells us about Thucydides' trap, which I'll tell you next year or something. And that's why they're doing it. That's what I would do. I would clown America. I believe in the old Chinese laundryman, just like Deng Xiaoping did years ago. The rate China got big is using the old Chinese laundryman. Oh, bossy, bossy. Right? So then boss give them all the contracts all over the world. Let them build everything. Boss man let China build itself up and helped them. Why? They thought China, when they get big and important, they're going to become a democracy and all of that stuff. But they didn't. A few years ago, they realized that the Chinese, they got a thing called, this freedom and liberation with Chinese characteristics. Oh, they couldn't stand that. So, old dumb other president, the old red, orange-looking guy, he acted a big fool. Then this one came in. Now, I want y'all to remember what I prayed for right in front of all y'all. Oh, Allah, make a clown out of boss man. Make a fool out of him. Anybody remember those days? Oh, Allah, just make an idiot out of boss man. What is happening with boss man right now? What's happening with what's the name running around? The old guy go to sleep all the time. The president, right? He looks like a clown. He looks like an idiot. Because it's better for you to be laughing at somebody and immobilize them than to have them able to shoot bullets at you. You see what I mean? To me, it's the best policy. But China, after 100 years, 1921 up to recently, got their stuff back. They had in the parks in China years ago, no Chinese and dogs allowed. That's what they had. So the Chinese got big and now they feeling their oats. We were saying to them, just quiet down for a while, take it easy, keep up your Chinese laundryman thing for one more 5 years or so. Get that hook deep into boss man. Boss man, you got him now, but you done caught the lip or you done caught a little side of him. He ain't going nowhere. You got him. But you want to get him to swallow the whole bait. Now, we using that policy. That's when we say white man on the line, boss man on the line. That mean, I know you're saying this nigga here is really done went crazy. No. That's not the way it is. The way it is right now, we've been measuring boss man. We've been managing how boss man see us. And remember, something they said in a movie, the flying black flyers, the Negro was saying to the white folks about us being Americans, and our big challenge is how we see America and how America sees us. All right, now you got to get a few keys. Don't worry, we ain't going to be here that long. Part of our struggle is, how does America see us? Right? We got to know that. This ain't a little game. This is the biggest game you can get. This got all the spy game and all that. This is bigger game as you can get. Because I came through the game, but I came through the hustling game, where it was plenty of psychology. To get that far, you had to be big. Well, anyway, you know I'm telling the truth. So for the last decades, I showed everybody something from 1986 where the system had stole an accordion folder and others with all of my writings and notes and what have you. Yeah, I make notes like this all the time, and then I put them in a folder all the time. Now, in 1986, boss man stole my folder, accordion folder, and my clipboard and everything that I had wrote down. And I wrote that day that now we have a big victory. Because now we got boss man. That was 35 years ago plus. And we've been working on this project since then. You got to be long range. Remember, protracted. Negroes are short range. All of our movement was short range. The black movement goes up, gets slapped around, and it's gone. Right? So the black movement in America has, if you take 65, by 1970, it's almost wiped out. By 72, it's gone. Right? It's finished. That's not protracted. That's like instant coffee. You don't have time to brew. All successful African and Asian movements had a long time, many years to develop. They had bush to hide in, right? They had relatives to help them. And they had whole cultural assistance, like the Mau Mau movement and all of those. I knew members of the Mau Mau because when I went to East Africa, 71, 72 and all that time, the Mau Maus under Jomo Kenyatta, which they helped put him in, they was all out highway robbing. Why? Because just like the ANC turned on all the Negroes that helped them, read the news, right? That's what they've done, right? Since Mandela died, the ANC turned on its own people. They ain't help them do nothing, right? Like the Mau Maus, that great group, Jomo Kenyatta was brought out of prison and sent back to Kenya to manage the movement. Then he became the burning spear, the president. But he came as a spear, the quiet spear, the sissified spear, not burning spear. Anyway, MZ, which we used to call him, Jomo Kenyatta, turned on all the revolutionaries, the Mau Maus. So they had to turn to robbery because they had a few weapons and they. So when we looked at South Africa, we kind of had a good idea of what was going to happen. The government that takes power will not help and won't be able to help, right? The ANC members, what did the ANC members turn to 10, 15 years ago? Robbery and murder of all the people that helped them, like the Indian and Asian population. I'm trying to tell you, by living in Africa, by living here, we didn't get lucky and be here. Now we're going to move to the catch. That Allah will help you from ways you never could imagine. All the stuff any of you have heard here over the years, you could make $1 billion if you just reprinted it and sold it at a comedy show. Because that's what it's been. Because we had to use what Allah gave us. Back to Bruh Bear and Bruh Rabbit. The only one that understood it was Imam Jamil. When Bruh Bear caught Bruh Rabbit, he let out with a talk. Please, anybody remember what goes next? Don't throw me in that briar patch. The berry bushes. Well, where does the rabbit live? In the briar patch, isn't that right? Is any of y'all from the country? Or y'all, I guess y'all been up here too long. You may not remember this stuff. Do y'all remember berry bushes and the sticky and how they are? And the rabbits, I guess maybe y'all didn't. I guess, I'm 77 and I think I'm older than I realize. Because of all these stories, but I'm going to tell you anyway, you may not know what I'm talking about, but go read about them. Let's get back to the story. When Brother Rabbit is caught by the bear, he almost prays, please, whatever you do, don't throw me in them berry bushes. And Brother Bear wanted to be mean. That's what I'm going to do. So he throws the rabbit right back in where he was born. Anybody remember the story now? This is old Negro stories. Written by white folks, some of them. But, hey, it makes sense. The only one in the United States that I mentioned a little bit, the only one that caught on to it and just mentioned, Brother Bear and Brother Rabbit. That's what he said in the county jail last time I saw him. He's the only one that knew what I was doing. And that's great. And now you can see the results of it. What about Tar Baby? Y'all remember this Tar Baby? Y'all remember? Good God Almighty. Do y'all know anything about cultural history? These are just stories they used to tell the Negro. Anyway, it's all right. But they want to catch the fox, of course. So they dress the fox up a doll, and it's tar all in it, So they want the old fox to walk by and grab the Tar Baby, and then he'll be stuck with all the tar. He'll be stuck. All right. We've used all of those for Boss Man. This beating that they gave me in California, it was a real beating too. I mean, it wasn't no... But this is when I earned my colors right here, through this beating, because I always taught Negroes should never fight other Negroes. And they didn't, This beating was a real beating because we used to say, nigga, we'll whoop your head till it ropes like oatmeal. You look at the top of my head. It's roped. I guess y'all too young to understand that. It's roped like oatmeal. Now, for another Negro to do that, he got to be pretty mean. But that's the way Mukhtar and Khadijah and them was. Do it mean they was tough? No, because first of all, I'm an old man. I'm sitting down reading. And Mukhtar, when he cracked me upside the head, I just turned around and grabbed him and pulled him to me. Now, when you get old, it's hard to get up in a hurry. So I did what I could. I pulled him down and I pulled him over. But as I got him there, he's looking like a little rabbit or something. He got caught in the trap. Of course, I got a little grip, so I'm still in a little shape. So I'm looking right at him and I'm holding him. But guess what? His wife that weighed 300 pounds got this beating rod. And that's where this come from. My head is open. I can let go of him, right? Or I can hold on to him and nullify him, which I did for a long time. But pretty soon, you know why that woman stopped beating me, weighed 300 pounds? Because she got tired of beating her open like, imagine a watermelon that you could sit right there. There it is, and whack with all your might. Whack. Okay. Well, why ain't mad about it? Because I've been preaching that the biggest crime niggas can do is niggas fight niggas. Now, that's a police Negro. But the people won't know the difference. Right? The people won't know the difference. They will think, oh, Imam Musa got mad. And then the people tell their own lies. And remember, they got a whole troop of liars, which we don't care nothing about. If I can pause just for a minute. One of the biggest things to excel in the movement, or any movement, is to learn how to be by yourself. I'm not saying you don't need nobody, but you're not missing nobody. Where did I learn that? From the movement. All the people in the movement, you should have been there. How sad they was. They worked for the black movement, then they had to leave the country, and the Negroes forgot about them over here. They didn't send them no money, they didn't do nothing. I knew what they was having, because that's why I took money from here with me. Then I went down to South America after we had a big meeting in Algeria. I said, well, if y'all don't want to help, I'm going to go develop certain thing. Well, actually, it was drug smuggling, cocaine smuggling from South America. When I went to South America, it wasn't no more Negroes from America or nowhere else going to Colombia. But me, I had the whole thing all to myself. When I took money, bundles of money back to Algeria, and the government knows because they stopped me and frisked me at one place in Paris, and they had a little thing you were supposed to declare whatever money I couldn't declare it. Anyway, they charged me 10%, no problem. All that money, 10% ain't no big deal. When I got to Algeria, nobody was there. They had all went all over Africa. So I had raised the money for nothing. I said, they may have quit, but I'm not quitting. Now, we got Brother Rabbit, Brother Fox, and now we got us. What are we going to use? Let's get back. Boss man done read all my paperwork. He done watched me for you. He knows all of my habits, everything. So now, I have to bait all of this. This is all bait. Some of it is true, but it may be 98% true, 95% true. right? But why? I know Boss Man's going to read all of my stuff. He always have, and he can't stop. So I have to, Hansel and Gretel, y'all remember Hansel and Gretel? They use little crumbs along the way to find out. It's a long story. That's a white folks story. I know you all wouldn't know that. But I traps the white man with nursery rhymes and kicks his behind all the time. I'm not bragging, but if you want to see a Negro hero, it's me. I'm not. Don't worry about it. I'll take it back tomorrow. But for now, if you want to see a Negro hero alive and breathing, that brought all of you, everything I'm telling you how we did it. My father was born in 1900, so all his friends was old like him. And I listened to them old people all the time, and I got their game. That's how it happened. And then, as we get older, we got the Black Revolution. Now we got it strong. We use those three combinations. The old Negro game that our people used a long time ago. So that means if my father was born in 1900, if my grandmother was born in 1871, they all had game. And nobody living now and in the 60s had that game that they used, right? You got to think about it. Remember what it says, Allah will help you from avenues and ways you don't even perceive. Well, in a struggle with this European breathing down our neck, killing our leaders, soaking us with dye, blowing us up, doing anything he wants, right? Then we have to be able to adopt a policy, and you got to be able to stick to it. So if they try to beat it out of you, you got to keep on just cruising along like ain't nothing happened. Like ain't nothing happened. Now we done passed out the literature. I know how I was able to do this because in one of my writings I wrote, "No killer instinct." No killer instinct. Remember, Ray Johnson said, "Know your enemy, know yourself. 1,000 battles right, 1,000 victories." And I know I don't have a killer instinct. Why? The ride is 63, and I'm gonna close in a minute. In the field house, when this ride jumped off, everybody backstabbed. We in the movie, it's an amphitheater, sitting on cement benches and everything. And there's a boxing ring out there, and then there's a screen in the back of the boxing ring. And then on the other petition is a field house. That means when they have a fog line, you can still go to the gym. It's like outside, except it's inside. They call it a field house. So when the riot started in 63, you don't know, you just jump up. I just jumped up. I'm one of the youngest guys in there. I just jumped on the boxing ring, looked around. There's Ducky on the thing over there. And the white boys got him. He was right next to Choo-Choo Johnson, the heavyweight champion of the penitentiary. He called him Sacramento Black. And Sacramento Black ain't moving a muscle. So when it happens, you got to be thinking quick. Charge! So everybody focused over there. And the white boys went the other way. The white boys got the iron bar. Oh, boy. That's a little trouble now. If the white boys got the iron bar. All this is happening, bam, bam, bam. And everybody is remembering what I'm pointing to. Because nobody's taking charge. And I don't know what's going on. I'm just doing what's inside. By the way, this is all on the white man's record. The iron pile is here. Basketball courts is there. So when we run over, we got to go to the basketball court. So the white boys got all the iron. So here's what we do. We run up to the white boys. I'm directing this, directing the show. Get my record. So guess what the white boys do? All of them light dumbbells, a few young living out of iron, anything under 35 pounds, something like that. So they got 10 pounds. They got loose iron. So we're running up to them, and they throwing all the weights at us. We backing it up, and we guess what the white boys do? In 1 minute, guess who got all the iron now? Us. So we run it right, no problem. There's something else on the record that I remember, and the white boy remember too, because they get one white boy over there, and I thought this was something white boys did till they played it on the news, that the black boys did. Just before you go, Negroes used to cuss you out, spit on you, cuss you out. And white boys would say, Mom, they're going to kill you. It was his points. And when you closed off all of the points of life, there ain't no more help coming. Right? That's what George Floyd did. Remember when he was about ready to go? When he said that, that was his last thing, because his mind took him back to his last, most comfortable feeling, and it was in his mama's arms. This is something you can't control. This is what happens to you. But I knew what was happening to him, because I knew when the white boy said, Mom, they're going to kill you. And I told him, yes, we'll take care of it. The white boy never forgot me. I could go to his house right now if I could find it. And he remembered it, because we was in the hole together, participating in the He never forgot. He never forgot. The other niggas don't remember because they was just having a ride. But that white boy remembers right. No killer instinct. There's nothing you can do about it. If you don't have it, don't use it, right? Other people got a killer instinct. They'll kill you for nothing. For bubble gum, and go sit down and have breakfast. Niggas will do it. Yes, they will. I've seen them do it. Sit down and have breakfast like it ain't nothing. I don't have that. I don't have it. I can't do it. I couldn't even do it to a white boy. We're in a ride, and when he said that, something to do. I'm saying all that to let y'all know. Right now, your friend Boss Man is about finished. Boss Man is about finished, and he ain't going nowhere. California done already burnt down. The Rhine River, y'all ever heard of the Rhine? They have to load the barges 1/3. Why? Anybody know? There ain't enough water in the Rhine. Right? The Danube runs all, it runs all the way through here. Last time I was on the Danube, I was going to South Africa. I had a layover in Germany somewhere. And so they had a little thing on the wall that says, and I looked outside, and that was the Danube River. I used to carry my hand weight, so I went out late at night, and I was running up and down the river. And guess what happened? Here comes the police. Speaking perfect German. I said, hey man, I don't know what's happening, but I got to shoot. The same thing. Y'all ought to move to the U.S. You would be better over there than it would be here. You know, that way when you stop me, it would be just like par for the course. Boss Man on the line. And I'm going to wrap it up with this because I'd be here too long. We knew from 1986 they were going to watch us, follow us. So I would do stuff. When I come back from overseas, I would put stuff on my telephone. I'd leave it there, you know, they'd see it. And when I go in, the telephone would be like down to like 5%. When I get it back, I plug it in. 74%, that means the white man has downloaded everything. All right? And even when I come back, I would bring a stack of newspapers from there because they said we're going to a secret meeting. And they would have our meetings all in the Tehran. So I give them know. So every time I came back, I had something for boss man. And today, boss man has swallowed every hook that we didn't put out. Know your enemy. Know yourself. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. That's the way it is. Now I know that y'all think, well, this nigga is crazy. And you're only partially right. Because you got to have a little bit of, not insanity, but if ain't nobody never whooped a champion, you got to be almost crazy to say, I take that stuff off, right? You got to be, he done whooped the baddest in bunches. You have to be partially just on the line. You either have to be inspired or crazy or mixed. I know it ain't no news to you, but boss man is finished. I'm sorry. Boss man vice does. And I'm going to close by telling you what boss man stands for. You got to learn on it. When I was in the federal penitentiary, McNeil Island, that's just like Alcatraz almost, one of the old time penitentiaries. Federal penitentiary. I've been in the state joint. We never talked to the police enough. The feds is a little different. So, I made a quick discovery. The old Southern Negroes probably been on chain gangs and all them old. You couldn't talk to white folks at penitentiary crazy down there, right? Or nowhere else when they come up. So we always snarled at the police, the guards, which were usually ex-military men, and they was double dippers. They got their ex-military after 20 years salary, which for them was good. And then they got the federal penitentiary salary, which was also good for them, but they done it. So I kept watching the old Negroes from the South, all ex-chain gang Negroes, all been under, like from my father's generation. They all called guards busted. They didn't do it for extra credit. That's just, boss man, can I count for them crackers out there? They wasn't taking it like down south. They taking it like this nigga is this. Boss man, we need to get in the kitchen there and get a crate of meat so we can make 50,000 sandwiches and get rich off the rest of the day. Boss man, you think you can open up the kitchen? Sure. And we say, hey man, let us get a couple of colts out of there. I don't know. So I watched them old Negroes. Only thing they were saying was a honorific statement. Boss man. That means I respect you. You running this penitentiary. And anything you do for old worthless Negro is a credit to you being a good one. That's what boss man means, what they say. Because remember, you don't have to give them nothing. They down south. They on a chain gang. They're hobbling along. Y'all think niggas didn't do that. Yes, they did. man, you think I could get a little slip to make a run on here? Almost a boss man. So that's why we use the term boss man type of this. We were in California. We didn't talk like that. Boss man. Didn't Negroes got every different old southern Negroes? I mean, from the deep south. Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. They got everything they wanted. Simply by, boss man, you think I could get it? Created them out of there. Why, sure. Over Moses, over time. You have anything you want? Because you're calling me a hungry boss man. That's why we got boss man. Boss man bites the dust. That means in English, the white man is finished. Have you seen America lately? Y'all watch the news? Where's the president? Running around in a circle and everybody laughing at him, right? What was the doer? Anybody remember the doer? Does anybody remember? Who allowed make fun of the white man? I said, I didn't say boss man. Does anybody remember those days? Anybody? Okay, people remember. That's all. That's what's happening. You do your part, Allah gonna take care. Allah bringing down the biggest and the baddest in the historical period that we're living in and making a fool out of it. And everybody, it ain't me and you laughing at boss man now, right? Everybody is laughing. And if we can get the Chinese to not be so mean-spirited from just being talked bad to, they ought to have been brought up over here, you know, like some of their cousins, right? Y'all ever heard of the Chinese Exclusionary Act? No China's in America. Everybody else. Anyway, it's a long story. The point I'm making, and I'm going to close with this. We have a big part to play in the movement, and we've been playing our part. It don't make no difference whether you understand it, whether you like it. It doesn't make any difference whether you believe it or not. It don't make any difference whether you join or not. It doesn't make any difference. I'm sorry. To me, or to history, you got to remember, we're living in a historical period. This is a historical period. It doesn't make any difference whether you sit on your behind and look like you're, I don't know. It don't make no difference. It don't make no difference if the coons and all of them have been thrown out of our own masjid. If they say the liberation movement, they took all of this, that, and other, and what they say on the news, why they don't say nothing about us? We're going to bring that up to them. You're now saying, no, the freedom movement Negroes went in and took a little bit of their stuff. Now, you didn't took our whole property. You done sold our property. You did everything that's not legal on your books, and you ain't said nothing. That's why we got them. All we have to do is wait. That's why we're in a different time zone now. Well, we're getting ready to, with Allah's help, to move on. Because the next stage is psycho-spiritual warfare. Now, we already beat psychological guerrilla warfare. We already won that. Say we have not. Just look at the news. Psycho-spiritual warfare. Why? And I'll close with this. Going down now with something. When you're fighting a big enemy, you have to use what Allah gives you. The Americans have become weak-minded, psycho. They become accustomed to knocking people out in the first round. Right? And y'all remember the George Foreman and Muhammad Ali fight? Anybody remember? rope-a-dope? Nobody watched any sports thing? Right. Okay, good. Okay, you got it. That'll give you an idea. Any of y'all remember 72 or 73 or whatever that was, when George Foreman fought Joe Frazier? What did he do? Knocked him out, spun him around, hit him on the playboard. Now, if Ali was 100, Joe Frazier was 99.5, right? They was close. So Ali had to make a decision. Now, if I go out here and try to fight this man, George Foreman, we know George Foreman tried to fight all of that. How do you kill him? So, what's George's record? George hasn't never fought before. No more 4 or 5 rounds because he knocks everybody out. What does that mean? We got to get him up into the high rounds. He was knocked out in the 7th, 8th round. Why? Because he was watching women fight after the 5th or 6th round. He had no more power. He'd never been that far before. Right? The white man had never fought Negroes that was fighting and knew they was fighting. And dragged him along up into championship round. That's where we are now. We're in championship rounds, and just wait 1 more minute before you leave. You're not there by yourself. China is there with you. Right? Like in Africa. The Russians are there with you. Right? Strategic alliances are there with you. That means Palestine, Lebanon, all those people. Right? Yemen. They're all being oppressed and they're all there with you. And guess what? They've been fighting all their lives. But now we up in the championship rounds, and boss man is tired and looking stupid. Isn't that right? And on top of that, they're so stupid. Remember, here's how history works. History is so favorable that he'll help put somebody in office that's already ready to die. It gets tired. So instead of bringing in a young, energetic firebrand or John Kennedy or somebody that, right? They bring in a guy older than he's older than me. The president now, is he 78 years old? I'm only 77. He's older than me. And I'm in shape. I even back to useful plastic. This guy is old. He's white man. 78. You can't stay asleep in meeting. Right now, I know you get a little forgetful, but I ain't going to forget nothing serious. I'm going to write it down. This guy forgets everything. He's tired and he's a laughing stock. And that's what we ask for. Or help bring the boss man down and make him the laughing stock of the world. Why the laughing stock? So it won't be brutality and murder. This is a secret, and I'm going to close with this. If after a revolution there's a lot of fighting and killing, then it'll take you 100 years to pull it back together and everybody can remember who was murdered, who killed who. So we want this transition now to be semi-peaceful and packed with tranquility. So it'll be easier to refuse and rework together. Right? That's why we want to interject something into this transition that other people are not aware of. Something only given to the Negro, the modern Negro, is humor. Humor. And we've earned this reputation for humor. We can laugh at the most pitiful and the most trying of circumstances. Tell the truth, can't we? The niggas be laughing. The white boys coming to visit like that. Sitting in the barber shop, there's a little white barber shop. And so the white boy walk in. He wait for the white boy. He's talking to him. You know, I never had that in the barbers. The white barber said, "Why, me neither. I never. He just called me. I came down and and my wife just dropped me off last week out there. They might have rolled him out of the car with knocks on the head and the police in front of them. Right? That's how they. We have to understand our environment. And we do understand. And then I'll close with this. Know your environment. Know yourself. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. Okay. What's needed? Peace, tranquility. I hate to say it, but love and harmony. That's the way it is. That's transition. If it's not handled with love and compassion, people have too many modern weapons and it won't be no fun. So we don't want to have revolutions. We want to shoot each other. We don't want that. We want a peaceful transition. And if you read any newspaper articles some years ago, they all say the same thing. That our greatest asset, people we were going to work with tree huggers, type folks, environmentalists, right? What's the biggest problem in the world today? And I'll close. I'm not going to show it. Then you'll be mad. We go down in 3 minutes to have a little something to eat that drawn us out of business. But mark our words. We're going to win this. And it don't make no difference whether nobody knows where it comes from. The biggest thing is to learn how not to need credit for nothing. And not to be on the front page. And not to be popular. And not to get credit. So everybody else get mad when they see them up the anti-Semitic Negroes and school pigeon imams getting all the credit. They be mad. I don't be mad. I said, look, it's fine. Why? Because a lot of you get everything you need at a certain time. I was looking for a couple of years here, but I got all that attention I needed when I was young. All the cars, all the cutie pies, all that money, all that stuff in my early 20s. So by the time I'm in the 30s, I don't just move everybody else. Last thing I'm going to say, if it was so good, everybody in Hollywood would be happy with it. They got the prettiest cars, the prettiest women, the handsomest men, right? And tons of money. And they're full of psychiatrists who commit suicide every other day. Isn't that right? And you see the pictures they go in the world. Kanye West on the stage cry, well, I don't know, the little baby, the little girl. Right? Stupid. That's the way all of them feel. I thank Allah that I got a chance to have all of that. So I don't have to sit here. You can sit here and wish you had thought you missed something. You missed a headache. You missed a headache and a heartache. Because to have all of that,